believe that Pulsechain is built to be great, and Pulse is great. It's something different. And you were speaking about Sunny and bridging in coins, right? Sunny is bridging, but not a lot of liquidity. And Sunny did mistake because he bounded his liquidity too much with Atropa. And I was speaking with Sunny, and Sunny know what I'm doing, and we are doing these things together. As long as he was pairing PRC copies with original ones, it would work way better. But because Atropa had a mint functions and something else, people lost trust and they dumped everything. So the only PRC copies that were performing pretty good were these ones where people were holding and believing, so PDI. And the other ones that could peg way faster were forgotten. But I was the first one who bridged in Doge, Matic, other coins with a big liquidity. Problem is that arbitrage bots, I was putting there like 15k liquidity in Doge and copy of Doge and Matic and everything else. But arbitrage bots are not seeing those pairs because people are not trading those coins. This is the point. This is the first one. I was speaking with people from 9inch to do this, right? Because your chart sucks, you do nothing, you have bad ratios in your liquidity pools, and it's not working. So, you can't only speak what to do, how to do. Someone have to do this. Someone have to put money and bring this liquidity, tell to people, because you are known in Pulsechain space, right? Look, guys, we have here coins because Pulsechain is not following other coins. Those coins are here cheaper. Buy here, sell on centralized exchange because it's cheapest one. We hate centralized exchanges, but it's free fucking money, right? It's simplest way how we can onboard people, but nobody is doing it because nobody wants to put in his own money. This is the problem. Everyone is speaking what we should do, but nobody is doing it. This is the first one.
No. Hold on. No one's putting in money to the ecosystem
He just
to
means
try to
nobody's.
onboard.
He's saying nobody's bridging
No, I
coins
don't
yet.
say that
No.
no one is putting money in ecosystem. I say that no one is breathing in those coins in. This is the problem. How people can trade those coins when they are not
That's
here, right? This is what I mean.
Okay. That's what I want to like bring into the table. Like there are individuals in this space putting in like hundreds of thousands of dollars in this space to better the whole ecosystem. So like okay, keep on going, Brian. Sorry, I apologize.
Well, I think that wasting money makes no sense, right? Because as I said, I'm in the different chains and in a lot of projects where people have a lot of money and they know me there and they made a lot of money because of me. And I was speaking to them about joining Pulsechain. I was explaining how Pulsechain is working. I was explaining how Pulsex is working. And they told me it's a great idea. We do this. And later I had to explain liquidity bounding on Pulsechain. And I had to show them this big liquidity with Hex and PLS and show them when the new stakes will be released. How can I tell to those people that they will be not an exit liquidity because we don't have enough liquidity from Ethereum simply to absorb this what could be sold? How can I explain to them? I tried like last month and it's not working.
All right, I'm gonna try to answer this question. Anybody come in at any time to give your opinion? This is my opinion about that question of itself. The charts are going to be the charts. Okay, the market's going to be the market. Period. So you have to equate humanity into the whole ecosystem of Pulsechain of itself. So the understanding of that kind of consensus has to be measured in some kind of way. So there is actually three different predicates that we have to adopt. We have to think about the predicate of the long-term investor. We have to think about the predicate of the individuals that know how to provide liquidity and know how to enter and exit a position. And we need to know about the degens in the protocol of itself. So there's three different kind of layers. And majority of the maxis of Hex and Pulsechain of itself are going to have that pre-programmed consensus of delaying gratification. So we have to take that concept to its sense. With those individuals that delay gratification, we all ultimately got to know that they also play whale games. And whale games is going to play on any kind of new blockchain. If you guys haven't been with like Avalanche or Polygon or any of these type of ecosystems, once they first came out and how they like brought their value into consensus when it came from 2018, 2019 to 2020 and 2021, like the narrow-minded individual is going to look what the charts look like right now, and they're going to be feared. But with my consensus and a lot of other individuals in this VC right now talking or listening of itself, it brings opportunity. It brings different ideas. It brings different strategies when it comes to liquidity providing, if it comes to just buying and holding, if it comes to putting into a vault and just staking that stablecoin. Everybody is going to have a different different consensus when it comes to the measure.
Those people don't understand. They don't care about what. All what they care is numbers, math.
They only care about green candles and
they
what
care,
green. No.
Money or not?
No, people only like
those are people with money.
People only care about green candles, myself included. But at the same time, myself included, only worrying about green candles is my humanity. People don't really talk about like crypto and talk about like the whole dynamic of bettering people, bettering individuals, becoming your own bank, becoming your better individual of yourself. Like if you don't see potential in Pulsechain, go elsewhere. I don't
see
care.
That's why I'm here.
You know, but like at the same time, if you think about what like if you don't know about history, if you don't know about fiat currency, if you don't know about the financial sector, if you don't know about like mortgages, if you don't know about like borrowing money, at the end of the day, like people understand Pulsechain is freedom, period. The reason why I just want to speak on this point, and I really hope no one interrupts me, Pulsechain is freedom. I will state this, and if you want to fucking come after me in a year, 6 months, or 5 years from now, go for it. Because, you know, it's just like, if you think about it, Pulsechain's not here for green candles in a day. Pulsechain is here for transparency. Pulsechain is here for the people of the world. It's not for the US. It's not for Africa. It's not for Singapore. It's not for Dubai. It's for the people that come into the table. And the people have been talking about it. And the people have actually been taking action where there's over 50,000 validators. In what other ecosystem? Like if you want to like talk to other individuals about the ecosystem of Pulsechain, there has been over 50,000 validators onto the chain. And they can elaborate on, there's 90% held by the OA. Right after you talk, or they add that question, where has that OA of Hex gone? Nowhere. Where has where is the measures of Richard Hart preached about for the last since 2016, 2017? People don't understand this game. This game is to enlighten individuals. This game is to just bring prosperity to everybody. And I hate to go on to this tangent, but it's just especially at these numbers and especially at these times in the ecosystem, for myself, I want to be the voice, but I want to bring prosperity to every single individual in this room, speakers and listeners alike. And I really want to ask a question to Gary, who's a speaker right now. What do you really think Richard Hart wants at this time? What does Richard Hart really feel? What do you have in your heart to deliver to the ecosystem of itself?
It's kind of like saying, what is the intention of gravity? It's a force. It's out there, contemplating it, arguing about it, saying, what will gravity do tomorrow? Why hasn't gravity done this or that? Is just kind of, I don't know, maybe it's soothing to talk with each other. So I have opinions, and my opinions are that the liquidity management is what affects the chart on launches. I think that there have been multiple sacrifices run over the past 2.5, 3 years. And what seems to play out, not just in Pulsechain, Pulsex, Liquidity, but in other sacrifices is kind of the same thing. I see that emotionally people have a commitment. They have a brand commitment, time commitment, resource commitment. They donate to the Mount Olympus or to freedom of speech or whatever it may be, right? And they put their resource there. Then on liquidity access on launch, there's either very little liquidity because it is another person, another individual, and usually not the founder, as far as I can see on chain, that is says, hey, there's been a lot of expectation. I will make fees because there'll be a lot of trade for this very low supply. But that it gets exhausted fairly quickly. And people that would have exited at 10% under or 20 or 30% under, instead they cascade. And the cascade goes 60%, 70, 80%, 90% down on just about every launch. I think that's directly due to liquidity management, liquidity supply. People do not exit at 20% and go about their day and say, well, it's just time and it was just brand or just a little bit of capital loss. They instead ride it to 90% down and then cry out loud, kind of unexpectedly. And then that puts fear into the market about, should I or anyone pair something else that has value and provide that LP, right? So you don't see a lot of participation to give exit routes, exit liquidity, supply in LP. You don't see it on any of these newly launched PRC20s. You don't see it. And that's decision making by founders, developers, people that basically had collection. That's their decision. That's their choice. There's no expectation of profit from the work of others. There's all these other narratives that have been out there for a long time and kind of repeated. And now we see launches. The only things that seem to have done fairly well with their stability is where they did have a cap on how much got raised. So I know that Buck's products, a few of his products, whatever, had a cap. That cap was relatively small, like under 2 million. People that wanted to exit were able to exit. And then it goes on and has a chart. You don't see that in these other things. I can't argue with gravity. Gravity is going to do what gravity does. There's no echo. There's no feedback. There's no compelling gravity to do anything that it does. It's just going to do what it does, right? Now, if someone puts in $100 2 years ago into a sacrifice narrative and they have no expectation of work of others, but a protocol goes live, then the only thing that can happen is really for that sacrifice participant is to provide LP. If they don't provide the other half in stablecoin or something else of value, Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever it is, if they don't provide the other half, they don't come up with another $100 worth of LP to match and bond, and then sit there long enough to recover fees over trade cycles. Like if they don't do that, then you just see what you see on the charts. That's my opinion. That's my view. So if $1 billion is raised, or $50 million is raised, or $13 million is raised, or $16 million is raised, or $3 million is raised on different projects, in my opinion, it is the responsibility of the founders to provide that LP. If it doesn't exist, then it's the responsibility of the sacrificers to match their sacrifice as LP. If they don't, then you see people wanting to exit and they can't, and then they're going to cry about it. And that's what we see in the ecosystem. That's my view.
So Gary, real quick, about that kind of predicate of what you're just saying. If we just like come to conclusion of all the other sacrificers that actually brought into the table of Pulsechain, do you believe the individuals that are trying to build on top of Pulsechain, bringing a different kind of value where they're coming in and burning about $500,000 of liquidity into their protocol? What do you think is the ideal sentiment of who is for Pulsechain? Who is for the people? Who is actually trying to make a impact for everybody?
So it makes sense that you promoted, and I agree with the launch mechanism of validators or miners in a proof of work system. It seems that they're making a commitment, right? They're locking up. It's off of the market in order to validate. They're earning based on transactions that occur. They will watch the volume over time, 6 months, a year, 2 years, and then they'll decide, is my yield, right, from fees worth it, worth the risk? Or how far are they on the risk curve when they have a $1,800 validator or a $3,000 validator, right? Or a $500 validator, because it's 32 million pulse. It just depends on what they perceive as worth relatively dormant capital, management, the management time of running validators, right? The update the software, make sure that you're not getting slashed, all that security narrative that's around validating. So I think that commitment is a good commitment. That's 50,000 validators or so. That's however many billions of PLS that's not necessarily on the market. But like in any deal in real estate, let me just put it in the frame of real estate. If I don't have credit, if I have shitty credit, and I can't raise money through credit from a third party like a bank, or I can't get any kind of capital, right, from third party, then I need to have the deal, and I need to be able to say, okay, I'm going to find first the seller, and then of the property, the real estate property. I'm going to find the deal, and then I want to bring someone else that has capital, and we're going to close on that deal. So you have to have cash, or you have to have credit, or you have to have the deal. And that's really kind of the way I see all of this playing out, no matter who it is. If we are not out talking to new people and giving a value for value exchange of information, value for value, how long is it realistically that someone can make $1,000 off of fees from any of these protocols just by letting $1,000 sit and go through trade and be basically liquidity available for others to trade into and out of, right? How long is that realistically? I don't see anybody pitching those numbers. No one puts those numbers out there, but I would want to know it on real estate. I'd want to know that I had $500 cash flow every month and it was a $100,000 real estate property. And this is how long it's going to take the tenants to make me back to middle or profitable, right? I'd want to know that in real estate. And I don't see that kind of stuff. What I see is philosophizing, the same thing that we've all been doing for years. You said it, Coach X said it, which is, I'm here for freedom. I'm here to bank the unbanked. I'm here to make sure that everybody kumbayas. And we do really good about that in long form. But we are horrible about social engagement outside of this ecosystem. We're terrible at it. We're god awful. There have been 3 years. I am awful at it. I'm not one to speak. I'm shitty at it because I've been here for 3.5 years and I've only got 27,000 on Twitter, I've got barely anything on Instagram, 16, 17,000, hardly anything. I put a lot of time into this ecosystem, but it's not my whole lifestyle. It's my whole life. So like, we're terrible at engaging outside of our own like fields. We talk a lot about our fields, but if I want to cast any shade, I don't see founders of other projects out there doing it either. I don't see Richard at events, right? There's a reason. But why don't I see the founders of all these other projects at events or sponsoring advocates for their products and services? Why don't I see that? I see a lot of Twitter stuff, and I see some YouTube engagement, and I see that basically people that want to step into the mantle of being a YouTuber or advocate or whatever, they're pumping their own bag. They're talking about the thing that they have speculated on, and they're wanting to engage other people. But I don't see the founders doing that. I just don't. I see KG out there. He had a space earlier. I see him at Consensus. I see him at Bitcoin conventions. I see other people at NFT events. Like, what the fuck? Why don't I see the engagement from people actually that are builders? And if they are developers and they're too nerdy and they don't want to be, they're socially shy or whatever, they need to fucking hire some people. They need to have a PR team. They need to go third party, just like Gary Vaynerchuk or anything else that wants to promote a product or service. But I don't see that. So there's capital in the system. There's resource in the system. There's nerd brains through the fucking roof about every game theory protocol that should make it profitable. But we're here 7 months, 8 months into it, and that's not what's happening. So I want to see engagement. If I don't see engagement, I don't know what to do with the system.
Definitely, Gary. Thank you for sharing that, man. Honestly, that's a really good sentiment, and I really agree with a lot of the stuff you said.
And so there's the bridge cost and there's the gas cost on both sides if people are actually doing a round trip.
That's not what I consider the bridge fee. But yeah, it takes that out of the tokens and then the gas fee on top of that. So
and there's all kinds of bots that are doing that. Human beings aren't doing that so much as bots.
Oh, I've been doing it on that TokenFi, the Floki Inu new one. It's like 20% under over here all the time. Been doing it for days. It's manual arbitrage, but you got to do at least $100 profit round trip, right? There's no bots doing it right now. Not
right. When they're using, of course, you already know this. When people are using the word stable, they're trying to peg it to something, whether it's the underlying L1 or whether it's it's collateralized in some way. And that's why I'm asking, what is the actual benefit of doubling the money supply effectively, let's say, inside the whole ecosystem? So there's going to be a mint, if there's a mint, I guess, of algo stablecoin in this pitch, and then it's sequestered somehow because it's being taken off of the market in different cycles or different demand, and it very similar to the Fed pulling levers on.
Yeah, Gary, I agree with you. Look, on this one, you're going the right path.
Could I speak to this question of Gary Wood? I think well.
We gotta get a bit more organized, guys. But yeah, go ahead really quickly. But then we get to these guys.
Well, but Gary, the point is very simple. Creating money out of thin air is not a problem if you build something with it. In a real example is if you take a credit, build a house, you haven't really increased the money supply because for the new money you created, there's a new house. What is a problem is if you create credit and speculate on existing things. So in our example, if we could increase the money supply and build new projects, that would be a real benefit, but because at the end there is a new project doing something, and this is the equivalent for the newly created money. If you just create the money and speculate with this makes no sense.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. This fantastic, very intellectual Pulse group. I greatly appreciate it versus some of the more wild Pulsechain groups that are out there. Fantastic. And I guess I will speak to in the topic now has swung back around. It went off of that topic. I think people are talking about onboarding, getting people to onboard, getting society to onboard onto Pulse. And one of the things that attracts me most about the Pulse chain, and that I could see for the first time in a long time, this kind of an incredible community start to build up. And I got incredibly excited when I started to see a lot of professional VCs start to float around and come and check this out, because the groups were so huge on Twitter that you could see it's a movement it's more, there's something very special happening here. And then you have the potential of effectively a decentralized, like Y Combinator is what I saw. There's a potential for this to go in that direction. I'm a little bit disappointed and wish that, say, and people don't like any criticism, I know, being thrown in this direction, but I wish that Richard Hart or these people around him would actually build a real actual company that could support the ecosystem in a professional way, like a corporate way. I think that would be really fantastic and really help with everything. I wish that could occur. And I think the point that the last speaker made, that if you print money in this regard and then fund real projects like real industry and not just houses, but things that actually produce real products, hardware, say, for example, I'll show my startup making breakthrough clean energy technology generators and then selling the electricity, say powering the blockchain, powering Bitcoin miners, so maybe selling some of the Bitcoin and dumping it into Pulsechain, etc., and other things like this, where you're solving the real needs of humanity, the pressing needs of humanity. And then you flip the script. Instead of only, quote unquote, onboarding humanity to Pulsechain, now you're onboarding industry onto Pulsechain and using this in some regard in involving what another previous speaker said maybe 10 minutes ago, making the products and the services that the people need, that society needs, instead of just asking everybody to come and use their coin. Right, there's hundreds of thousands of coins asking everybody to come and use their coin. But what are they actually doing to bridge the gap and actually serve humanity and the needs of humanity in these different companies? So when I saw this Pulsechain community growing and a lot, 80,000 to 100,000, just fervent, incredibly passionate investors in this community. It's like, wow, where have you seen that before? They don't really have that. And now these, different apps like Clubhouse and Spaces have allowed these communities to kind of come together more. So that's a big part of making this happen. Pulsechain is really the first project since Waves of 2017 to come along and be going in that direction and have that opportunity. And if they take that road, if they go that way, it's going to be absolutely huge, absolutely mind blowing, and probably it would end up being one of the most successful and most well supported and most well trafficked ecosystems in the history of blockchain. No doubt about it. If they can clean up some of these things, the stablecoin idea, in order to create a Federal Reserve Bank that you can print money, this is a fantastic idea. It could be done. No question, it could be done. This is just a coding issue, and they will figure out how to do that. And I've thought about doing this as well. How do we solve? How do human beings? How do we solve? And by using blockchain, creating a Federal Reserve Bank, multiple Federal Reserve Banks, so that the people can actually make their own Federal Reserve. They can create this money supply to then get access to finance, because there's this myth that we have capitalism. We don't have capitalism. Still today, 99.9% of founders, regardless they have even a profitable business, will never get a venture capital deal in their entire lives. That is the data. That is the statistic. So how do we solve that? If the Fed is not willing to print more cash and then directly fund and finance those small business owners, your business, if it's a valid business and has a worthy model, you can't get funding. All of the funding is going to the top. It's going to these elites, whatnot, and there's nothing really going down. There's a few different little programs here and there, but that's it. It's not adequate. And this is just left in the hands of venture capital. Now you have way fewer venture capital deals than before, and more money going to consolidated deals. It's all follower capital. It's losership, not leadership. And they don't fund internationally, and just on and on and on. Right? So how do you solve that? We need more money supply to build out all of these assets. You got 4.5 billion people with no secure electricity, sanitation, basic infrastructure services, whatnot. Where's that capital going to come from? It's not going to come from the Fed. And that's why you have BRICS. They want to build this out, because it's not going to come from the Fed. The Fed doesn't want to supply that. So how do we get out of this? How do we create? So I was innovating in this space of, how do we do this with the stablecoin? Because I heard the anti-crypto people and legislators bashing crypto and say that they're creating money out of thin air. They're counterfeiting, right? They're building this, and they think that they can make a copy of the Fed. How dare they? This kind of language. So I started investigating, okay, is there that possibility in there, and how do we do that? So I started engineering a little bit in this space because that is a massive problem that we need to solve for humanity. So I really support this idea of opening that up. It should be done. If Pulse can do it, it would be I mean, this would be worldwide news everywhere. Everybody would be talking about this. This would be such breakthrough technology for humanity to be able to achieve that. So if the community does it, I really, wow, that would be so fantastic. And people, it should be tried. It should be attempted. It should be done. It can be done. There is a space there to do it. So if people are willing to do it, they should be supported in doing that. But it needs to be done responsibly. Like the previous speaker said, if the money is just printed and then it's just handed to people to buy jewelry and buy fancy, make videos where they go buy millions of dollars of jewelry, put it all over themselves, and clothes and cars and bitches and Lambos, instead of actually this going into build real asset, real income projects with real business models that then can IPO. Make something, put something on the chain that can IPO. Do an IPO. No, there's never been an IPO in 15 years of blockchain. Nothing's been funded to go and do this. Nothing. And if you start to do that, if this becomes a community that does that, it's going to become the real leadership ecosystem for humanity in business and business financing, in solving the pressing needs of humanity. Pulsechain has the opportunity to do that. Listening to this group gives me a lot of confidence that could occur. And everybody probably needs to make a commitment to stop selling your coins. The coin's going down like crazy. That does not win the confidence of investors. That is ridiculous. It looks like insiders. I'll just say it. It looks like insiders are dumping the coin to me and to many other people. And people need to get together and not do that. And anything that needs to be built for the ecosystem, I think. The comment that Gary said, okay, allocations will be going to the existing people and this kind of stuff. Well, maybe the community needs to look into, are those people just going to dump those allocations, liquidate those or whatnot? Probably, that needs to be addressed maybe because you're not going to have good adoption when people are looking at charts where the price is down 80% to 99%. So maybe those issues need to be cleared up a little bit in some regard. Thank you.